Hey, what's up? This is Charles, the Landbank King. I just did the Motion and Success podcast. It's crazy. Check out the episode today.
So, welcome to Motion and Success, the number one podcast for millennials and Gen Z. We might not be number one, but we coming for that spot.
Absolutely.
So today we're here with our guest, Charles Noonan.
Yo, what's up? What's up? What's up?
Yeah, we about to get into that information y'all need, that y'all been looking for. Given all that game, Charles Noonan is one of the top dudes out here doing real estate, and definitely gonna have a great conversation, showing how anybody can literally get into the real estate industry, because it's different.
That's
Let's
where
just
it's
say that.
at. That's where money is.
Yep.
That's where it's
But
at.
first, I gotta thank you though, because you're our first guest on the platform. So
That's what's up.
appreciate your time for coming here. Excited about this. It's crazy because Cody just about a day or two ago, 2 days ago, he called me and was like, "Yo, we got our first guest," and I was like, "Who?" And he sent me an Instagram. So I'm looking through Instagram. I'm like, yeah. I just immediately off rip, I said yes. I said, "Yo, we gotta shoot it and we gotta get it done," because he definitely has a lot of value to give. So super dope, super excited to have you here. And let's get ready. Let's go.
Yeah, man. That's what it's all about, though. Like, if you did look on my page, automatically you're gonna see me giving back. You're gonna see me doing whatever I could do to change people's lives. Right? That's like what my page is about. That's what I'm about. So I didn't even know this was y'all first. So
I was like, "Yo, listen, can you jump on? We starting off something good,
No, but
I'm like, we
look,
starting something good right here."
if you think about it, it kind of aligns with my mission is to help. So you asked me yo, see, come through. Well, I didn't even look. I'm like, all right, bet.
Yeah.
Right? It was just easy to do it just because I really feel strong about the service model. Like when you look to serve, you look to help other people. It doesn't matter how big they are. It don't matter if they got 80,000 followers. I didn't even check. I know you from the the real estate expo.
Yeah.
Then a couple of other events in New York y'all came through, right? You came through a couple of events that we did.
It was the NYS. Sheeta had the
Yep.
play for play.
Play for play was
Yeah.
crazy, right?
Yeah.
Yo, man, shout out to Sheeta 3.
Shout out to the three.
I've never imagined that I would participate in a real estate versus battle. Just the thought of that, the creativity of that was crazy. And then the fact that she picked me for it, I was still like this is amazing to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was happy to participate in that, man. That was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. The first one was fun too. For sure.
Yeah.
That one was good.
And that's dope. That's dope. If you don't mind, because being that all three of us here, we're from New York, but me and Cody, we're from Brooklyn. How was life growing up in New York?
So first of all, you see how you said Brooklyn? Yo, we from Brooklyn, right? You see that, right? I'm
You gotta
from the
have the
Bronx, bro.
emphasis.
Yeah, like Brooklyn and the Bronx, y'all just so different. But I got a house. I'm born and raised in the Bronx, but I got a brownstone on Flatbush, not too far from here, actually on Flatbush. But I grew up in the Bronx. Very similar upbringing to what Flatbush used to be. It's almost like the Bed-Stuy of my neighborhood. It was almost like the Bed-Stuy of the Bronx. And just humble beginnings, man. It wasn't easy. But when you're in humble beginnings, you don't really even realize it. Where you are in the world as far as rank or social class. You're just a kid, you have fun and you just enjoy whatever, whatever your daily task is.
That's super dope. That's super dope. But how is it like growing up, especially around an environment where you don't see a lot of entrepreneurs? You kind of just see the dope boys, you see the rappers. To really get into entrepreneurship out there, out here in New York, you really gotta want to do it. It's not like Atlanta, where you see everybody get into it. In New York, it's a little, you gotta really want to do it.
Well, I'm gonna say this to be born and raised in New York City, right? There's the working class, and that used to be enough money, right, to afford the houses that the housing cost back then. You could work 2-parent household. I grew up in single-parent household, but at that time, a 2-parent household and a good job was enough money to actually buy a house and have a comfortable lifestyle.
Right.
The way that New York has appreciated, the real estate has appreciated at such a fast rate, you almost have to go into entrepreneurship to stay here, because you really can't buy $1 million, $1, $2, $3 million home in the neighborhoods that we're in right now with a regular paying job. It's just not enough money.
Right.
So I'm gonna say, like, me being like growing up grassroots in New York, I wanted to stay. So it wasn't really an option. I knew there was money out there to get, and I had to go get it. So I just had to. And real estate is probably like one of the oldest industries that's known for making the most millionaires. So I had to get into real estate, and it wasn't really much of an option for me.
So like when you say you had to get into it, was there like somebody forcing you? Like, yo, Charles, you need to get into this. Like, you have to do this. Like, Charles, this is your only way out, Charles. Like, you have to do this. Was that what it was, or was it a little bit different?
Nah, it was circumstance, really. So
Okay.
so a couple things. Coming out of college, I learned about real estate, and I started some real estate deals that way. Just young, fresh, just full of energy and effort. And I got into the real estate game. The real estate bubble busted. I cashed out crazy. I sold a ton of real estate, and I made so much money in like 2008 to 2011.
Yeah.
And then I went to work corporate America, and I actually dominated working. I dominated corporate America. But as New York City was appreciating, right? So I got a house in Brooklyn. I got a house in Westchester County. I was just looking around the areas where I own property and the appreciation rate, right? They started at like 600,000, but today they're 1.5, 1.7, $2.2 million. So it was like, all right, I'm working, I'm making $400,000 or $500,000, and I still really can't afford. If I needed to buy a house, I really couldn't afford it. Like, it wasn't enough money. But what I was doing, I was servicing other CEOs and CFOs in my corporate America role, and they all had real estate portfolios, right? They all owned companies. It was like, this is the way to wealth. It's not like saving at a job. The real path to wealth is through investing. You just can't save your way to wealth in New York City. You have to invest your way to wealth. There's only one way to do it, and that's the way.
Yep. So how'd you find yourself like out of New York? Once you realized the real estate market was just out of reach, like who told you about other markets like in other cities?
Man, it was just, I had to find a way. So I got two sons, right? And shout out to them. It's National Sunday. I just heard.
Oh.
Did you guys know that?
I didn't even know that.
No?
On Sunday, imagine
It's
that.
National Sunday. I hope the person who told us that is accurate, because I just posted both of them and everything. If it's not, it's going to be a funny episode, right? But look, so I was looking to really set them up, because like one of the things I realized is that I didn't have a parent to like pave the way for me,
Right.
but I made it through like hard work, dedication, and there was a little bit of fear. Like once I started getting money, I used to live in fear of going back to being poor. So I grew up impoverished, welfare, single parent household, and it was like, I don't want my kids to have to see that, and I don't want them to have to see me go back to that. So there was a little bit of fear in me that always motivated me, and it really just tapping in lately from a psychological perspective. That's one of the things that pushed me to just like do more. I never felt like I had enough money to kind of chill, so I don't take my foot off the gas.
Absolutely not. You can't.
There's no such thing.
You really
You
can't.
can't. So Charles, we know that you're in the real estate industry and you do sound a little bit different from everybody else, right? So we know the Airbnbs, we know the short-term rentals, we know the multifamilies, we know the buy tax deeds, the liens, the wholesaling, all those kinds of things. Like, can you tell the people, what do you do like inside the real estate industry that's a little bit different from everybody else?
Yeah, so my specialty or my niche is Landbank properties. Landbank properties are properties that are purchased from a government entity called the Landbank.
Right.
And land banks are government entities that work with different communities and city agencies to take over their vacant properties to help get them either purchased and rented out, or purchased and renovated so that they can be sold.
Yeah.
So it works twofold, right? So problem properties increase crime in communities.
Right.
They decrease the property values. So the community is fine with land banks coming in and selling those properties, because now there's less vacant properties on your block, right? The land bank works with the government agency for the purpose of getting those properties back on the tax roll. So now there's like 400 or 500 houses in a city that the city's not making any money off of. So the land bank is going to kind of create that win-win situation where the community gets a house that's safer on their block, and the city actually gets another property that's on the tax roll. So like I said earlier, man, I got 2 sons and I was trying to prepare them for their future. And I was trying to actually prepare them in a way through real estate, but through a debt-free perspective. So I was looking for real estate all over the country. I flipped Trulia and Zillow upside down, like lowest to high. So the lowest first. So here's what I was thinking. I was just going to cash out on properties for them so that they could start to get like $1,100, like rent every month. I was just going to buy them as an investment to just try to propel their future so that they have money and could sustain a comfortable lifestyle in New York City where we live today.
Right.
And then I saw these properties for $1,000.
Ooh.
Right. And you've seen like the versus battle and things
Yeah.
like that. So buildingdetroit.org is actually the site that I stumbled upon. And they have properties, two ways you can buy them, through Own It Now and through auction style. So I just started to buy properties there. And just like a New York mindset, I wasn't in fear of going into these underdeveloped neighborhoods or any impoverished community because that's really where we came from. So that fear factor wasn't there for me. You know, some people would say, oh, I don't want to go there, it's dangerous. It was actually the murder capital of the country.
Yeah, they do say that a lot of times.
About Detroit, right?
Yeah, they definitely do say that for sure.
But here's the thing, man. It's just like New York. People are scared of New York. People are in fear of coming here. They think we're violent. They think we're rude. They think we're crazy. But when they get here, they realize like that's a subset of people that are in certain neighborhoods, that are in certain activities where you see a lot of the violence. If you're not in that lifestyle in parts of New York City, you actually don't witness all of that,
Yeah,
right?
that's
So if
true.
you're not in gangs, you don't witness gang activity.
Yeah.
If you're not in a lot of other stuff, you don't witness a lot of that stuff that goes on. So just like Detroit, man, when I went there, I tried to be like a New Yorker. I tried not to speak to people. I tried to just go about my business and do my stuff, right? And you guys are laughing because you know what it is, right?
You don't want to connect eyes with somebody.
You see them coming, you turn, you just get to your work. You act like you're going in the trunk. When they leave, you close, you go back in the house, right? No offense to non-New Yorkers. It's just a New York thing. So look, I'm developing properties there. And one of my properties actually got robbed, my first property.
Ooh.
And what I found was there's a couple of things that I didn't do right. One, I didn't like introduce myself to the people in the community, the neighbors. They have a vested interest in me developing that property because it makes their neighborhood safe. So we got a guy so I had the first properties on the corner. We had a guy who had 2 daughters. They have to walk past this vacant, dilapidated property every day.
Yeah.
So do you think he'd be happy to meet me and gracious that I'm renovating this property so his community could be safe and that like his parents who are outside, they don't have to worry about that being a trap house. They don't have to worry about that house attracting rodents and things like that.
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking like that. I was just thinking selfishly. So the house got robbed. The community kind of came out and they started to talk to me and say, well, you know, we started to track and find out who did it and like what was the issue. And, you know, they just really embraced me. So one of the things I teach, whenever you're going in these communities, one of the first things you should do is introduce yourself personally as the developer or the investor that's buying the property and that's renovating it. And they'll look out for you and they'll embrace you.
Right.
So it's the same thing, man. If you come from any impoverished city, going into underdeveloped, impoverished cities, I want you guys to know, don't fear. As the real estate guy, as the developer, as the investor, you guys get a pass. It's okay. Go introduce yourself to the neighbors. They don't bite. They're actually going to look out for you and be your number one resource of security.
That's good to know. But like, say if you're like an investor and, you know, I know you can do this entire transaction online, right?
Yep.
Say if you're like the person, you live in New York, but you want to invest into Detroit. How does that work?
Well, let's say we'll stay on Detroit for now. You can buy online.
Mm-hmm.
So through that site, you create an account. I'm going to teach your community, man.
Yeah.
So like, this is number one. So I'm going to give y'all like the real, like, you can go buy houses tonight, right?
Ooh.
Here's what you do. You create a corporation. So you either have to live in Detroit or have a business license to do business in Detroit,
Right.
which through a corporation, and the Landbank team, they get to use my office address. 'Cause I got like an office downtown Detroit.
That's dope.
They get to use my address as their location for their business. So they automatically qualify through like a business perspective.
Right.
So now they have a business address there. They can go on that site and you can buy in a corporation. The Landbank team members got a little bit of advantage because we have like a list of contractors that we use, plumbers, electricians, roofers. We have everything kind of like in-house. But if you're not, I'm going to say you could go the traditional route. Just do it with caution.
Yeah.
You can go the traditional route of seeking out your own team.
Right. Oh, that's dope.
I got a question because you mentioned $1,000 properties and that made a hair raise in my head. Why $1,000? Like, how is it $1,000? Why does it cost so much less? Is it like an auction or how does that work?
So here, from an educational standpoint, the land banks actually get the houses that fall from the tax lien sale and the tax deed sale. Those are the ones that are like at the bottom that didn't sell there. The land bank gets like first dibs at those and they're able to sell those. But here's the difference and why some people may think that they're the houses that nobody wants, but in fact, it's not true. They're the houses that had a lot of liens on them, a lot of debt on them that didn't make sense financially to purchase in the tax lien and the tax deed sale. So what happens is the land bank has these unique governmental powers to quiet title, meaning they have the ability to wipe away mortgages that are on properties, tax liens, deeds, IRS liens. The land bank can actually take those negative things off the title. So when they didn't sell in the land bank in the tax deed or tax lien auction because if you did your research, you'd see there's a medical lien, there's IRS, there's a mortgage on the property, and it just doesn't make sense financially. So it kind of gets passed through those auctions. Then it comes down to the land bank. The land bank wipes those away. We can go in and we can grab those properties.
Yeah, because you like $1,000 properties. Yeah. I'm like, let me get 4 of them.
They start at $1,000.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, they start at $1,000. Then there's a typical auction, but there's also this own it now process where you put the bid that you want to do. I'm gonna tell you something on the land bank team. This is one of the things that we do to kind of make sure we don't bid against each other. We manage our group at Mighty Networks, right? And in Mighty Network, there's a tab that we created called Properties Currently Bidding On. So if you want to get a property, you'll go in there and you'll post to the team. It's like hundreds of us. You see how deep we roll, right?
Yeah.
We deep.
I went to the dinner that time and it was like, we was outside deep. People coming from Miami, Atlanta. Some people,
Bro, they loyalists, bro. They loyalists. They fly from anywhere.
Yeah.
So we go in there and we post, hey, team, I'm about to bid on 146 6th Street, right? Please stand down. And the rest of the team, it's hundreds of us. The rest of the team will honor that and not bid against you. So people across the country may be bidding, and you're typically going to be bidding against land bank team members who did all the research and the homework. And we kind of know what's too much and what's not too much because we did the research. But when we go in there and we post that, you're actually removing like the rest of the force, the rest of the crew from bidding against you. And that's what makes us so successful is that we kind of do it in this family style manner.
That's nice. That's real nice.
Yeah.
And back to the point where you're saying like it wipes off everything. It kind of just brought up the idea like cleaning up a credit report. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
exactly what it is.
You clean the credit profile, you got an 800 now. Not to mention everything else outside of that off the credit report.
That's what it is. So from a bank perspective, like a lender, somebody shops you, let's say a car dealership shops your credit profile.
Yeah.
All the banks say no, they don't want it because of the debt that you have.
Right.
However, if that debt was wiped off, now to a lender, you look really attractive. Now the houses are dilapidated. They are like in poor condition. They're bandos. They're in poor condition. So you do have to renovate them. And then land banks don't just give them to you. You have like a set of requirements where you have to renovate in a certain amount of time, which are things that you're going to do anyway. Because if you don't, you're just giving away $1,000. So you're investing in these properties with the purpose of renovating them and renting them out for the cash flow that you're going to acquire.
I got a question about that. So being that, the government, they're basically wiping off the liens and they're getting rid of the mortgages.
Yeah.
I know they're going to require you guys to kind of like renovate it in a certain way, like to make the community safer. So is there like certain what would they turn that bando into? Like what would they turn it into to make the community safe? Oh, a regular house?
For the most part, I try to focus on smaller houses because they're less expensive. Like a 3-bedroom that's 1,600 square feet is going to rent the same as a 3-bedroom that's 1,100 square feet, but the cost is going to be different. So my focus is to try to renovate the smaller properties for less cost of materials and labor. But you're putting them together. Just think about this: you're renovating a once abandoned property, and you want to get it back to like the community standard.
Yeah.
So you're not doing these properties with like granite countertops, really nice hardwood floors and things like that. They actually like carpet in the Midwest because it's warmer. They prefer carpet actually in the Midwest. It's funny. It's just it's a whole different culture there. But yeah, you renovate it, and you also have to think too, in areas where there are lots of vacant properties and abandoned properties, there's also a shortage of rental units. So you have like overcrowded homeless shelters. So when those government programs come out, like Section 8 and all of those, and you have this like freshly painted property that's in a decent area, it's way better than previous living conditions, and you're actually doing a service to like an entire family that could move in.
That's great.
Wow.
So even like things like Red Cross, like for example, like natural disasters, hurricanes, they will move into your properties.
Of course. I'm gonna go deep, bro. Look, here's a site. I'm gonna give you a site, right?
All right.
If you got a property, and this is national.
Okay.
If you have a property, you guys could go to findhelp.org. Findhelp.org is one of those sites where program-based housing will list their companies that will do rentals to you. So there's like battered women's shelters that might be overcrowded. They will rent your properties from you. Safe houses for, let's just say, like women that are victims of trafficking or things like that. Safe houses. There's a lot of other agencies there. So findhelp.org, and then you can go to the housing icon. It's like 5 icons on the top. Just click on housing, put in your zip code, and you'll see a list of program-based housing programs that you can rent your place to.
There y'all have
He
it.
just gave y'all a lot of game.
There y'all have
They get
it.
deeper though. They pay more than all the government programs. They pay more than like Section 8 does.
Oh wow.
They're like $1,500, $2,000 a room.
Damn. A room.
A room. Findhelp.org.
And you just bought a property for $1,000, and now you renting a room for $2,000.
Yeah, you got to put money into it though. So your renovation cost could be $20,000, $30,000. So yeah,
That's still worth it. I mean,
it's crazy.
everybody else on the block, they paying $1,000, they getting $1,500 a month. Now you get 3 bedrooms, that's about $6,000.
Yeah, $4,500 if you go $1,500.
Jeez.
So now you know, man. When I say like Landbank team, we pulling up somewhere. That they come. It's easy for them to fly out. So yeah, man, I'm doing this event because we also took advantage of opportunities to buy land in Birmingham, Alabama.
Mhm.
So October 6th, I'm doing this event called DDay. And I posted it. It took me a while to put it together behind the scenes because I didn't know how I was going to structure it.
Right.
But once I put it out there, like 40 seats sold, like
Ooh.
immediately. And
Right.
I wasn't sure if I was going to do it on a Friday, a Saturday, or whatever. And I just put it out there. I'm like, all right, Friday, everybody that has land, we shooting to Birmingham. We're going to go do a master class on how to develop. Bro, within like the first week, I'm talking about 40 people. And then as it unfolded, I realized that if I had a bus leaving at 9 o'clock, people had to actually get there on a Thursday,
Mhm.
right? So now, and I didn't realize it like this, but people are taking off of work on Thursday, flying into Alabama with their deeds in their hand. Then we're going to do a bus trip where everybody's going to actually go see their properties. And then we're going to do a master class where I got my entire development team that's going to come and teach them and pour into the community.
Wow.
We're going to have a dinner too. So we got like a catered dinner. It's going to be crazy, man.
That's crazy. So now let me ask you a question. So now you guys are traveling as a team, everybody bringing their deeds, everybody about to learn the real estate industry, developing on land.
Mhm.
Can anybody do this? Like
Anybody.
Is there any kind of requirements for this?
So here's the best thing, and here's why I got into Landbank properties, right? You don't need a job to do it. You don't need good credit. There's no credit check for Landbank properties. You just have to have the money and a plan to buy the property.
Mm-hmm.
And then here's one of the most important things too. Not to say that us not filing our tax returns is a popular thing, but banks traditionally ask, they want 2 years of your tax returns. They want you to be on your job for 2 years. They want you to not have like this criminal background, all these things that are in the way of us getting into real estate. The land banks don't care. I call it like non-discriminatory real estate, where they don't discriminate on whatever you had in the past. The only thing they ask is that you don't have any tickets of blight in the community that you're buying in. Meaning that you don't have like trash tickets or like tickets for having debris in your yard and things like that, or having just left your garbage or like an unsafe place. If you don't have that, you can literally go to, I'll give you buildingdetroit.org. You can go to that site and buy property. You can go to the Birmingham Land Bank Authority. There is Muncie, Indiana sells land for $300 on their website.
$300.
Crazy.
What's the return monthly on that?
Whatever you build on it. So we teach development as well. Mobile homes, modular homes, manufactured homes. There's a company that actually sponsors the podcast, Star Homes, right? Star Homes is like a one-stop shop, and they'll show you the properties. You can buy them, they'll install them and put them on the property for you.
Wow.
Wow. So how does it work with the down payments for the property? Like, let's say somebody they don't have any cash or anything, but they see a good property and they really want to get their hands on it. Do they have to come out of pocket for it, or is it like you could go to the bank and get the down payment for the property?
No, so the cost of the properties are so low. So let's just say again, we're on this land bank hard, man. We're gonna break this website tonight. But let's just say you talking about Detroit Land Bank. You buy the first property with a credit card. They only take $1,000 deposit.
Damn.
Now, if you only had $1,000 on a credit card and you had funds somewhere else, the next amount, let's just say you bought a property for $3,000, for example, $2,000 you have to send to the title company where you go close. Now, we all know sites, especially you, where you can liquidate your credit and send like an e-check or wire to the title companies. I think it's like Milio.
Mm-hmm.
Milio is one. I hear, what's the most popular one? Plastic. Yeah. I think they're putting a stop on it. But you got Milio, you can do it. And what else? Give me one more company. There's one more company that's pretty popular.
You can also use PayPal, to be honest. Like send invoices,
Yeah. That's to liquidate. Yeah, but Milio, you can wire funds through Milio to your title company.
Right.
Which is pretty smooth too. So they do a lot of that. Yeah. And then here, man, I'm gonna just give everything today. The USDA, right? United States Department of Agriculture, being that you may be purchasing land. Let's just say you did Muncie, Indiana, where they have land for $300. You could get a USDA loan at 0% because it's a Department of Agriculture loan. As long as it's in a rural community, you can get funding at zero down for, let's just say you got an invoice from Star Homes or Clayton Homes and you wanted to build a tiny home, for example. And let's just say that was like $79,000. You can get a loan with your invoice to the USDA to build and develop on that land that you bought for $300 from Muncie.
Oh, wow.
That's good stuff.
That was a lot of games. So you can't even, it's like no excuse to not get into this game of a land bank. Like you literally get a property for $1,000 or even less than that. And then you could also get a property with zero down. Like,
yeah, you get the renovation or the building cost. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Or if you want, like I said, Star Homes does like the pre-built properties, like the manufactured homes, which are built in like a facility and driven over. Yeah, like and they're driven over.
Trailer. Yeah, I've seen those before.
So yeah, man, there's no excuse. Really what I find though, for people to really jump and take the move, is typically some extenuating circumstance, right? Something has to happen. Like something has to trigger an individual, really have this desire inside of them to do better. I hate to say it, but one of the number one reason is like divorce or breakups, right? Somebody moves out, they'll call me, hey, Charles. So you don't see a lot of couples on the team, right? Hey, Charles, I need you to make this money, man. I'm about to lose half.
Yeah.
They on my line heavy. I hate to say this happens too in the fourth quarter, man. We all know what happens in corporate America in the fourth quarter, right? What happens?
They want to hit their numbers, their quotas.
People get fired, right? Companies are downsizing, going into preparing for the next year. layoffs happen, like inevitably, we're gonna start seeing headlines of people getting fired. So breakups, getting fired, they on my line heavy. Hey, I got time, I got this money, let's go. And that's why I think also too, man, it's like when you're finding ways to make money and you don't have to depend on like a check from somebody else, where you can make your own schedule. We also talk about profit plus purpose. So the Landbank team, right? Just think where we come from. We're now helping people that are in that space of, let's just say, humble beginnings where we were. But now we're able to give them a house like that's fairly decorated well, new mechanicals, a new furnace, a new hot water tank. We didn't cut any corners on like the walls or anything. They're insulated. The roof is done right. So it's like dual purpose, man. I call it profit plus purpose.
So now I got a question. Like, this is kind of like a biased question, right? So say for me, I'm a young dude. You know, I want to have some fun. I want to be able to use other people's money to have my fun. Like, say for example, I want to buy a Lamborghini or something, right?
Right.
What would be the game plan that you would give somebody in their 20s right now to actually be able to afford those things and actually live comfortably? Like, you know, have fun using real estate, you know?
So you just back into the math. Do you any idea what a Lamborghini costs monthly?
About $1,200 a month, if I'm mistaken.
I don't know what year Lamborghini you getting, bro.
I think.
I don't know what year you get the 19
or
and a half.
1800?
No.
Could be wrong.
I'm gonna give you the answer. Let's just say 3,500
Ooh.
safely. A Urus. Let's say a Urus.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
A Urus. Do you like the car I drove today?
Oh, absolutely.
All right. So let's just say you want to get a Maybach, right?
Yeah.
Let's just say, for example, $3,000 a month, right? You got to pay. And then you just add on $1,000 insurance. You got to insure it the right way. Anything happens, you want to make sure your insurance can pay for. So let's say $4,000. You would get, and you know how to get money too.
Right.
So what you would do, let's just say you got 4 properties that rent out at $1,500 a month. So now you're making $1,500, $3,000, $4,500, $6,000. I would strongly recommend, if you really want to rely on rent, to use government programs like Section 8, or you use companies from findhelp.org. That's where you get your money. That's $6,000. And now you can drive that car for free, or you could get a driver. This ain't no show I'm trying to flex, but I'm just saying, like, you got enough money to get your drive to have a driver too, right? $6,000 will cover the cost of the Maybach, the light package, the champagne, the insurance, and the driver.
Yeah. I ain't go. All right. So can I tell the story when I called you?
Can he tell the story?
Nah,
tell the story.
Funny. All right. So I called Charles for the podcast. I'm like, I'm here. Are you here yet? He's like, I'm about 7 minutes away. All right, cool. So when you get here, just park right here. In New York, you gotta have meters and things like that. So I'm like,
Parking
it's after
crazy.
7 o'clock.
Parking is crazy in New York.
After 7 o'clock, you don't gotta pay for the meter. He's like, oh, don't worry about that. Got a driver. I'm like, okay. All right, cool. That sound good.
You have to, man.
But yeah, man. So I want to be able to have a driver. I want to have all the good things in life, and I need real estate to fund it, man.
It comes with the territory, bro.
Yeah.
But it's part of like the hard work.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So there's a lot of travel. If you really want to get right, you do have to have a presence. Go check on your properties, or you build out the infrastructure to where your tenants know you care about them. They're gonna care about your property.
Yeah.
You can't go crazy with the rent, right? You can't be a New York City landlord and raise your rent 20%. Them people gonna leave. That 20% means a lot to them. You want to keep your rents moderate. But I'm gonna give you guys like a quick wealth hack too, man. This is where I get investment money from, aside from rent money. I know you guys are tapped into the banks a lot, right? But for the most part, banks, I'll give you just one in specific that I use. Bank of America has this partnership with Merrill Lynch, and they have what they call these preferred deposit accounts, right? You familiar with those?
Is that like the investment account?
It's like a self-managed deposit account. I'm just going to give you an example for raw numbers. They typically, there's a mutual fund called Dreyfus. It pays 5%, but the account is almost a liquid account.
Yeah.
Meaning if you want to take your money out of it, you can. It's almost similar to like a sweep account where they sweep your money overnight and it gains interest and they put it back. But Merrill Lynch through Bank of America has this this partnership where you could do preferred deposit accounts and earn close to 5% on your money annualized. So just round numbers to give you guys an example of how you could drive whatever car you wanted for free, or how you could almost live anywhere you wanted for free. Just round numbers. So if you had $1 million and you put it in that account, right, you know where to get money at 0%, right?
Yeah.
So if you put $1 million in that account at 5%, you're earning $50,000 a year,
Just sitting there.
which is $4,166. That $4,166 could pretty much afford you to live wherever you wanted, basically rent free.
Yeah.
Information.
That's a lot.
It's all about the information.
That closes the gap, man. The wealth gap gets closed through the information gap.
That's crazy because it's like, especially people in like, you know, our community, we don't have access to a lot of this information. Like even before like the interview, I didn't know what a land bank was. You know, I did my research about it and I'm like, why don't we know about this? Like, why don't a lot of like people that look like us know about it?
Yeah, man. It has to come from some, like I say all the time, some burning desire has to be in you to take action. Right. So before it was a matter of we didn't have access to the information. And now I think my experience on Instagram, we're in the information era where everybody's giving information. I've seen you teach and just give credit information like crazy, to where now it's like, all right, so we got the information, or we got a lot of the information. We don't got like the super high level wealth hacks, right? Like I just gave, but we got enough to start to close that gap. And a lot of times I see people don't take advantage. They just don't have it. It's something else that we have to just keep pushing and keep educating and keep spreading the word to start to make people take advantage.
That is true. That is true. A lot of people they don't take that action. You know, they see the glamour and everything on Instagram, but it takes a lot of work to get there, and especially a lot of information you need to get.
Right.
So you know, that's great. That's great. That's
Got any
great.
other question before we close out soon?
I mean, honestly, I was also thinking about it, like, you know, being that you're going to these tough neighborhoods.
Yeah.
How does the community take it? Because some people might think like, oh, hey, I see developers coming in. I see people, you know, renovating this property next to me. Are they gentrifying this area? Is the rent about to go up? Everybody's like paranoid. They start getting, you know, they might not take it the right way.
That's a good question, man. And what I thought that way at first, but my why overcame my fear, right? So I got to get my kids money because they need money, or they're going to be living with me in a basement for like in the 30s, right? So I'm like, nah, right? I got to get them out of here, right? They got to go. So I had the heart to just go. But realistically, like, they're people just like us.
Yeah.
I feel from a national perspective, construction guys, real estate people, you almost get a pass in communities, right? We hear about crime, but we don't hear about like the real estate guy getting harmed. We don't hear about the plumber being mixed up in the community. So every really tough community, right? They're human beings, and they know like the contractor guy is not a part of what's going on in the war, the gang war, or whatever's going on. Like you just get a pass. And then, like I said at the beginning, if you introduce yourself the right way to the individuals in the community, they embrace you. They really do. So the trap house might be on a block of 15 houses, right? But the other 14 houses don't really want the trap house there anyway.
Yeah.
So I've never had to push anyone out. Like, you know, they're vacant properties, but still that abandoned house, they don't want it. It's an eyesore. It brings down the property value. There are animals living there in the winter. Crime happens in there. So the community does embrace you. It's like they know it's the best thing, and they want it. Of course, they don't want their rents to go up. However, the property value goes up, right? So it is a huge value add to a community that is safer. It's on a tax roll now. The water bill is being paid. There's an electric bill. And then your house, the value is now going to go up because there's no vacant houses on the block anymore.
Wow, so it's a win-win for both.
It's
both
a win-win
sides.
for everybody, man.
The
And it's
city loves
debt-free.
it. I'm pretty sure the city loves this type of stuff for sure.
And
Like,
he's,
yo, listen, come
he
buy
he just said
this.
it's debt free too.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you buy it.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I got one last question, right? So we're in 2023 right now, headed into 2024. How was COVID looking like for you as an investor?
My portfolio in the Midwest outperformed my portfolio in New York City during COVID.
Really?
That's where it really hit, and that's where like I always knew I was going to have land bank properties like forever. So Section 8 government programs were paying rent of the properties that were, let's just say, in Michigan, right, in the Midwest. The 3 houses that I have in New York City, I had to, I'm not going to say I had to hear it, but I heard like, hey, I got laid off. I can't pay the rent. People turned their phones off. We couldn't come outside. I didn't hear from tenants for like 2-3 months. It was like, I didn't have a whole lot to say because we didn't know what tomorrow was going to bring. We didn't know, especially in New York, we were like locked down. So I didn't know. But what I did know is that on the 1st of every single month during COVID, I got paid rent from HUD, from Section 8, every single month religiously. So other businesses I had were shaky. It was a time of uncertainty, but I didn't really have to like, I didn't go crazy. I didn't suffer anything. I didn't really see a loss too much in my portfolio because my land bank properties actually were just, the rent was paid automatically.
Wow.
That's dope.
That's crazy because in New York they were like they kept extending the
time, everything.
time to
You can't throw nobody out.
you can't throw nobody
take
out.
nobody to court. You can't foreclose. And a lot of those things, the moratorium on foreclosures is starting to be lifted in New York. A lot of landlords with over leveraged properties, and this is why I like debt free. A lot of landlords that did that burst strategy, that buy, renovate, refinance, pull all the money out, and then go repeat. That value add is now coming to bite a lot of people because they leverage their properties too much, and they weren't able to pay during COVID. So those houses are actually starting to be foreclosed on.
Damn. So you could basically create generational wealth debt free.
That's what it's all about, man. And that's why I really got into this. That used to be a lot of my branding, was to create generational wealth, not debt. And it was really thinking about like future generations, because that highly leveraged business model, that burst strategy, in the event that COVID hit or we had like an economic downturn, those properties are going to get lost. They're in corporations' name. It's easy to just let them go. But if you have a portfolio that's debt free, there's no reason to let it go, right? You're just collecting rent on it every month. A tenant moves, you do have to go in, you got to paint, you got to do some renovations. But as soon as you get somebody else in, you're going to get rent and security back in your pocket for a new tenant. So you're making your money back.
Right. Okay.
Sheesh, so the cash flow doesn't stop.
It don't stop, man. Go buy them and don't stop buying them.
Dang.
Any final thoughts before we close out?
Nah, man. The only thing is, like, I want you to come talk to my community, and I want you to give the individuals in my community, like, give me like a top 5 best credit practices that you know. Because I look at you like an expert, bro.
Yeah.
I look at you as like, you're somebody that knows things that you can't Google, right? You know stuff that people just don't know, like law, loopholes,
Absolutely.
like workarounds, like just like stuff that people can't Google. So at some point, man, Cody, I want you to come and talk.
Thank you.
And just give me like your best 5, like 5
I'm
home
thinking about
runs.
them right now, right?
5 home runs that will change people's lives like in a week.
I'm thinking about it right now. I got 1 or 2, but you guys got to tap into his community for y'all to be able to get this information for sure. So how can they get into your mentorship, your program, your coaching? How can they tap in with you?
Right. So usually people reach out to me for the most part on Instagram at Charles J. Noonan. Just send me a DM, or the link in my bio has every level of program there. So you can just sign up and join through there. Somebody like a VP of enrollment will probably reach out and advise them on which way to go based on their situation.
Okay.
So through Instagram, the link in my bio has like the full assortment of opportunities that we have. And then for more information, free game, tap into the Landbank show on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon Music. I do a segment called Free Education Friday.
Yeah.
Where I just give, like, it's just free education, man.
That's good stuff.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Great. That's great.
So I got a few closing questions before we get out of here. Rapid questions. just giving people hope and things like that. So the first question is, what did you have to sacrifice to become successful?
Leisure time.
Mm.
Like I missed out on parties. I missed out on like trips. I missed out on being home. I missed out on football seasons, complete seasons, complete basketball seasons. And I'm a basketball fanatic. You got to sacrifice some of that stuff. You just got to miss it.
Yeah.
You watch ESPN, get the highlights, but you can't be sitting home
I told somebody
watching
that
the
too.
entire game. You can't be sitting home watching every single team on an NFL ticket on a hacked Fire Stick. Like that, I gotta go off. It has to go off. Throw the hack Fire Stick away.
Yeah. Okay, all right, cool. So thank you guys. And just tap in at Motion and Success Podcast and also on Charles Noonan's page as well.
Being that this is like the first interview, we got to have something special for our viewers, to help them tap in with you.
Right.
What you got?
Anybody that's looking to tap in, to get into the Landbank, they coming straight to you.
Yeah.
Do you have like anything like available, like courses or anything that they could tap in with that we could get them in tune with?
Yeah, so there's a Hacking Landbank course. There's an ebook, Hacking Landbank Properties. And then there's like 3 levels of mentorship. So it's all in the link in my bio.
Any discounts for the people?
Man, so we giving away like land for $300.
Never mind, y'all.
Here's what we're gonna do. Now we gotta do something. It's like number one. Let's do like 30% off.
Okay.
Of all of my products. I don't know how we're gonna do this, but we'll find a way. We'll speak to my admin, Sydney. We'll find a way to give anybody that comes from this Motion and Success podcast 30% off all our products.
30% off, y'all.
Y'all heard it.
Like, y'all definitely got to tap in. Y'all have to.
I bet. So I think this was a great episode. Definitely, I hope you guys learned a lot about the Landbank property. Get you guys some investment property so y'all could drive a Ferrari, the Lamborghinis, like, you know what I mean? Everything like that. So thank you for joining our podcast.
It was great having you.
For sure.
Of course, fellas. I'll see you guys soon.